All right, everybody, welcome back to another adventure-packed episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. As always, this is Tim, joined by Ian. Ian, how's it going today?
Hey Tim, doing pretty good. Just kind of hanging out by myself this weekend. My parents have the kids, so it's just me and the dog, and he's in his crate sleeping.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes those are the best weekends, man, when you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm doing some online grad school. I finished all my homework earlier this week, so I actually have a free weekend. Huzzah!
Dude, yeah, though when you're a parent, those are few and far between, dude.
Oh man, no joke. But anyway, before we get cracking on, I want to go ahead with shameless plug number one of the night. Our website, nonsequiturnerds.com, is now live. Please go and check it out if you haven't already. It's pretty basic right now. We're still working on it. What can I say? Two working dads. I don't have a whole heck of a lot of time to design a website, so I'm kind of doing it when I have free time.
There we go. Ian's going to attempt to show me how to edit the website later, so just wait for all the cat gifs. That's when you know that I have touched it. It's gonna
As you do.
it's gonna look like a 1990s like Angel Fire page, dude. When the time I'm done with it.
Oh man, the Angel Fire pages, those were the bomb. I remember having an Angel Fire website. I have no idea what it was. Heck, it might even still be around. No, wait, no, they shut down GeoCities. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh, I was gonna say, I had one too. My sister actually helped me design it. Like I told her what I wanted, and like in retrospect, thinking back about how it looked, like my God, even by the '90s standards, it was horrible. But I was a teenager and thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like when we were teenagers and MySpace became a thing. Everyone was designing their
Oh
MySpace, and
man.
they had the personality quizzes and the which anime character are you quizzes and the embedded audio and the sparkly backgrounds and
Oh man.
my ex Sarah spent hours getting her MySpace page to be, this perfect in her eyes anyway.
Well, I mean,
And
and like that was.
where's MySpace nowadays?
Well, I mean, it's still around, but like I remember, like that was one of the things. I mean, it really did make each page unique. It was your space. It was kind of it was unique, but I think it went a little overboard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's basically giving teenagers the keys to the kingdom on how to design a shitty website, and well,
it did what it
there
did
was
what it did.
right. There was a lot of teenagers with shitty websites.
Truth, truth.
Anyway, so tonight, now that we've completed our first non sequitur, folks, tonight we're gonna go ahead and we've got a fun topic
Hmm.
of interest to both Tim and I. So, Tim and I are both. We'll go ahead for the sake of arguments call ourselves weebs. I don't have an anime girl body pillow, but Tim, I think you do. But
Not a body pillow. It's a regular pillowcase, and it's from the game Catherine, which is amazing. Thank you very much.
as you do. Anyway, so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about anime, some our love of anime,
Hmm.
but mostly what we want to touch on are anime tropes, the things that you see in almost every anime series that if anybody that's watched the series for years, you basically become desensitized to it. It's just a thing anymore. But as we look at it from a Western audience, all these things really make a whole heck of a lot of sense to us. It's really kind of a cultural thing. So, one of the things that's out there is the obvious beach and hot springs episodes that are in every anime series. It is almost guaranteed that if you have a series that runs for more than 13 episodes, and even 50% chance that if it's less than
Yeah.
13 episodes, you're still going to wind up with an episode where everybody's at the beach or at a hot spring.
See, in like
So,
anytime anybody brings up the hot springs, style trope, I don't know why, but I'm immediately drawn to Outlaw Stars hot springs episode. I don't know why. That's just the first one that always pops up into my mind.
that is because that is likely the first Hot Springs episode you and I experienced because we grew up with Outlaw Star airing on Adult Swim
That's true,
in back
probably.
in the late 90s, early aughts, early noughts. So that was probably the first exposure we had to it. However, for those of you who didn't grow up in that era or didn't watch anime or don't care, one thing that you may not know is that episode didn't air on Adult Swim in the Americas because it was considered too risque. We're talking Gene Starwind wearing a speedo, everyone in, um, in scantily clad clothing or no
Yep,
clothing at
yep.
all, because that's the tradition. Like when you go to a hot spring, you don't wear clothes. Um, and I can attest to this.
I,
More
I
on
was
that
just
later.
gonna, yeah, I was just gonna bring that up actually.
Yeah, I'll circle back to that. So you have Gene Starwind and a speedo. You've got the ladies of the series wearing almost nothing at all, or nothing, or in the case of Aisha Clan, they actually do go to the lengths of showing her boobs. So
Well, I mean,
you get a
she's
little.
an animal style race. So, I mean, it probably like to them it doesn't really, the concept of clothes is a uh what's the word I'm looking for? A courtesy to others. At least in my mind,
I
anyway. I don't know.
mean, may or may not have
Maybe
contributed, along with things like rescue rangers, to why people are furries nowadays.
Donald Duck doesn't wear pants. All right, let's just call it how it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, Donald Duck doesn't wear pants. Daisy wears like a mini skirt, or the same with Minnie Mouse. And Gadget Hack Wrench was way too over sexualized for a '90s cartoon mouse. And let's not even get into like Lola Bunny a la Space Jam, who was overtly
Or
sexualized.
well, I mean, not even not a furry, but Jessica Rabbit from the Roger Rabbit film. I mean,
True,
come
although she was
on.
married to a rabbit, so I guess
Yeah,
that makes
I guess
her, I don't know.
she'd be a furry then. I mean, if you think about it. But anyway.
Yeah. So, hot springs episodes, they're kind of a thing. Same with like beach episodes.
Yep.
And one thing that just like it doesn't make sense to us Westerners, especially those of us that live in America or
Mm,
anywhere not like Iceland that has hot springs. We don't have hot springs. But
right.
that's a thing in Japan. Like hot springs are everywhere. I've been
Oh
to
yeah.
Japan twice. I've been
Lucky.
to hot springs.
Well,
Uh,
like I mean,
you know,
like the beach episodes, like we can relate to those because I mean there are beaches all over the country. Ocean beaches, lake beaches, whatever have you.
right. And I
But yeah,
love me
hot.
some beaches.
Ian's all about them beaches, folks.
Yep.
But no, I mean, but yeah, the hot springs thing. I mean, it is very much a cultural thing, and like you were saying, you've been to Japan, you've experienced that.
Yeah, I've been to Japan. I've been to hot springs. I've been to onsens, which for you gaijin out there like me, an onsen is a bathhouse. So, like public baths, that's a thing. That's part of their culture. I mean, people go to public baths. It's not anything weird to them. I mean, granted, it was kind of weird for me, the whitest guy since white hit became white. Sitting in a Japanese bathhouse with a few other men. Um,
Because
but
they do just like they show in the anime, they do put people in separate bathhouses.
Correct. They put people in separate bathhouses, but I mean, once you're in separate sides, like everyone's naked. Like
It's a
it's just
bath,
a thing over there. Like there's no like you don't cover up. There's no shame. Like nobody cares. Like that's culturally that's just how it is. I mean, it might seem weird to us Westerners, but if you think about it, growing up from the day you were born until you're 70 years old in public bathhouses where everyone's naked, it's just normal.
right?
So it may seem weird to us Western folks, which I have, one thing about Japan is I've got tattoos.
Hmm.
The Japanese people don't really traditionally, tattoos are kind of a taboo over there. They're more associated with the yakuza, which
Yep,
is
yep.
kind of like the Japanese mafia type thing.
Also, an
So,
amazing game series.
correct. So a lot of pick it up now on Xbox Game Pass,
Oh yeah,
remastered versions out there.
yeah. If you haven't played it yet, they are absolutely worth playing.
Yep. So, tattoos are kind of associated with Yakuza,
Hmm.
the Japanese mafia type thing. So if you actually go to a lot of places, they'll have signs posted on like public beaches or bathhouses like, "Hey, no admittance if you have tattoos." So when I was there, I wanted to go to a bathhouse. I took my ex-wife to one, and because she hadn't experienced it before, and so I had to specifically find a bathhouse that allowed tattoos, and we were in Osaka, which is actually, I think, if I remember correctly, kind of where the yakuza are headquartered. So it's not uncommon to find a bathhouse that allows tattoos over there. Anyway, getting kind of off topic. So yeah, hot springs, beach episodes, very traditional Japanese thing.
Right,
That's
and
just how it is.
yeah, and something you see in a lot of anime.
Right. So, I mean, again, us Westerners kind of weird. Maybe unless you live in like California or Florida, but nobody wants to live in Florida. So I mean, it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So but there's other things in anime that we don't all necessarily understand either. One of the things being like the shonen anime, like the power up, powering up, the screaming, the classic example, the 5 episodes in a row of Dragon Ball Z of Goku just sitting there screaming as he powers up.
The
You
planet will
know,
explode in 5 minutes. Three
correct.
three
In
hours later.
Exactly. What us Westerners don't necessarily realize is this kind of ties into the concept of ki, or ki, chi, or
Yep.
whatever you want to
The
consider. So
mystical
a lot of
energy field.
Japanese, yeah, a lot of Japanese martial arts will have you doing things like the shouting and and stuff like that. I practice kendo. For
Mhm.
those of you who don't know, kendo is basically Japanese samurai fencing. Is
Yeah.
the most English way that I can put it. We wear armor. We hit each other with bamboo sticks. But ki, or that kind of shouting, is very much a, I don't sit there for 30 minutes and just like try to power up before I
Yep.
strike somebody, but
Well, I mean,
it's very much a concept.
same thing. Even years ago when I was still taking martial arts, I did Tung Sudo, and same thing. They had us do that after doing certain strikes, and it was like at least the way they taught it for us was it was to kind of a little bit of a show of dominance, show of strength, but also that quick exhalation of air tightens your core. So if you do happen to take a hit from somebody, they're not knocking the wind out of you because there's no wind to knock out of you. So I mean, even kind of relays to other martial arts as well.
Right.
Not necessarily the energy part of it, but like that basic idea. I mean, granted, Tong Soo Do is a Korean martial art, South Korean, but I mean, still, it's the same kind of general regional similarities.
Right, exactly. So, again, I do kendo. I mean, the Korean version of kendo is the name starting to escape me. I just had it a moment ago. Kumdo, or something along those lines.
Hmm.
Anyway, so, but I mean, it's the same basic thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just something when in Asiatic
Yeah.
cultures, is this concept of ki or chi, and that shouting is is the buildup of your chi, your power, which again, going back to Dragon Ball Z, is
Hmm.
why Goku continues to glow yellow or blue or chartreuse, whatever color is, whatever the flavor of the day is.
Well, saying and like the different, like speaking of Dragon Ball Z, the different colors he turns. I actually, oh, maybe a month or two ago, was reading an article relating the different colors of auras and Super Saiyan hair in all the Dragon Ball series to the concept of the different chakras and the colors that represent them. And like it almost directly correlated to this color represents this chakra which governs this particular thing. And when you see Goku have that hair, he has this kind of power and his moves are like this, which tie directly into that. And it was an incredibly interesting read. Again, just showing that there's all these different non-Western things all tying together from different regions, all over, that all kind of had a very similar idea. I mean, again, going back to when we were talking about the hot springs thing, Westerners we watch are like, oh, cool, he's a new color Saiyan and he's yelling for 5 minutes.
Right.
You may not get more of the meaning behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
But
we're by no means experts on any of this stuff, but it's from even just a quick 5 minute Google search, it's interesting the kind of things that you can learn about all these different different things in anime, different tropes, things that you may not get beyond what you would see just watching an episode.
yeah, and again, if you want to learn more about some of this stuff, feel free to Google on your own.
Oh, absolutely.
We're just kind of talking about the stuff that we know about, but there's a whole slew of other anime tropes out
Mhm.
there. One of the ones that I think, Tim, you and I enjoy, at least from a perspective of being male, is the concept of oppai. Which, if you don't know what oppai is, it's boobs. Um, so, very busty female characters, or very over exaggerated in
Yeah.
the upper chest region female characters. And there's actually a word for it, and it's oppai. OPPAI. You can actually see it. You can actually see it advertised semi tongue in cheek in the show One Punch Man.
Yep, yep.
Saitama walks around wearing a shirt or a hoodie that says oppai on it, and it has a kind of a very basic doodle of boobs. It's just kind of like periods with parentheses underneath them. And it's kind of a blink and you miss it type thing.
Yeah. Well, I say,
But
and like that can actually tying into another trope here, and I can think of an example that goes with both of these high school anime. And like with these two back to back, the first thing that comes to mind is High School of the Dead.
let's not beat around the bush on this one. Let's just call that one what it is. It's softcore porn.
I mean,
Um,
I watched it completely honestly, watched it out of morbid curiosity because I had seen a bunch of people talking about it online. I'm like, this can't be a real thing, can it? And then I watched it, and it was a real thing. And then I kept watching it.
Yeah, I'm in the same position as you actually. So I tend to watch shows when I'm doing my workouts. So I'll get on the elliptical because I do the elliptical because I'm lazy and I hate run. I detest actually running.
Right.
So I'll get on the elliptical and I'll bring up my phone and I'll watch like anime. And a few years ago, I did the same thing you did. I picked up High School Today. I'm like, okay, I keep hearing about this thing, and it was on one of the subscription services I had. So I started watching it and I watched the first episode. I'm like, all right, this is definitely fan servicey.
Oh yeah.
Watched the second episode and it's like, wow, this is really fan servicey.
Now
Got around to like halfway through the third episode. I'm like, wow, this is awful. But
now
there's
it's
only 13 episodes. And
now,
now I feel like I have to finish it.
now High School.
So I
It's
did.
it's been a while.
And
It's been a while since I watched it. High School of the Dead. Isn't there a scene in that where somebody shoots like a sniper shot between a girl who's doing like the Neo bending backwards thing, but the bullet just goes between her chest sideways because she's just defying gravity all over the place? Is
yes,
that
and
okay?
ironically enough, I was having a conversation with some friends of mine the other day, and I found the GIF of that scene because we were talking about anime tropes.
Yeah.
So I posted that GIF, so I know exactly what it is you're talking about.
Okay.
What the main character, one of the main characters, fires a. It's not a sniper rifle, but fires a high powered rifle
Yeah. Yeah.
into a crowd of zombies. Who one of the female characters is fighting, and she's a swordsman. She's a nationally recognized kendo practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing like a neo backbend, but her boobs are basically doing dead or alive style jiggle physics. And
Dude, it
so
puts
one
those
of them,
jiggle physics to shame, dude. I mean, let's be
correct.
honest.
So like her boobs are actually moving in two different directions at the time, and I realize I'm gesticulating this, and I realize that there's no camera showing this, so it's just
I
just
have this
how I
horrible mental image of you with your hands in front of your chest, just flopping around like some kind of weird seal.
basically. I mean, they're not quite in front of my chin. I kind of look like I'm doing the monkey actually,
Oh
but
god.
yeah. So I mean, the bullet somehow manages to go. A very high powered, high velocity round manages to go in between uh, her synchronized boobs as they wiggle back and forth.
Now, keep in mind that this isn't shooting like up her chest, like she's leaning back and it's going from her feet towards her head. No, no, it's going across her chest from one shoulder to the other sideways. Just to put this into perspective of anybody that hasn't seen this, of how ridiculous
Correct.
this is.
Correct. So, I mean, the series itself has its own fair share of like
Yep.
oddities, and it's full of these tropes, ridiculous. If we want to circle back to the, kind of tie these things together, the high school trope of,
Hmm.
their anime for some reason loves high school, but the other component of it is that they keep putting people in ridiculous high school uniforms. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen anime, you know that most high school girls at least have skirts that maybe go to their mid thigh or something like that. That's not actually how they dress, folks. Let me tell you. You know, traditional Japanese schools, they have uniforms. They want to
Yep.
conform to
Yep.
standards. So a skirt isn't going to go down just past your crotch. It's going to go to like your ankles or your calves.
Right.
They want to avoid that exact situation. So,
Yes.
call it misogyny, which admittedly Japan is a very misogynistic, very male focused society, which they're getting out of, but they were shut off to Western society until the 1800s. So
Right.
it's taking a little while. Uh, Thousands of years of tradition that is slowly being torn down. But
Which
that's
is
not how.
both progressive and kind of sad when you think about it. I mean, because Japan has such a rich history and culture that, I mean, it's great that they're realizing that, hey, some of these things we've done in the past are probably not the best things we could have been doing. But it's nice that at the same time they're not arguing that they haven't done those things in the past. That's part of their culture. That's part of who they are. You know?
Right, exactly. So they're kind of, and one of the anime tropes that kind of ties into that whole culture thing and who they are type thing, besides the misogyny, is if you see international based anime or things like that, they always kind of paint Americans as the bad guys,
Well, I was gonna say,
as kind of
or
sus, kind of sketchy. I mean, I'm not gonna blame them. We kind of nuked their country
yeah,
twice.
I mean, or we're all cowboys. Well, I think
Yes.
a couple days ago, you and I were talking about stuff, and uh I sent you a picture from the different mobile suits from G Gundam.
Hmm.
And like the American, for those of you who haven't watched G Gundam, it's a Gundam series where effectively, all the nations of the world each create their own Gundam that kind of embodies what their country's about. They fight every so many years, and whoever wins this fighting tournament, that country becomes, the ruler of the world until the next tournament. America's Gundam is piloted by a guy wearing a denim jacket with tassels named Chibody Rocket. His Gundam is a combination between a football player, a boxer, and who also has pistols. America.
America, right, exactly. Well, I mean, if you look at it though, I mean, there's other animes that do that. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of racist from that perspective, because the way they paint these different countries. Because I think like Spain is a uh what are they called? The people at bullfighter.
Yeah,
Um,
Matador.
Matador.
Yep.
Yeah, Spain is a matador, and
Well,
like
the
there's other countries, but I mean, there's other anime like
yeah.
that as well, like Hetalia Access Powers, which has been kind of derided as this not so great anime, but
Hmm.
each country is embodied by is uh, anthropomorphized into a human being. So like China, France, Japan,
Hmm.
UK, Russia, they're all anthropomorphized into these different people, and they're very tropey, very kind of like
Ugh.
stereotypical their countries.
See, now that's a series I haven't seen.
I've only caught glimpses and pieces of it, but it's definitely like it's very much a tongue in cheek style anime. It's an
Gotcha.
older series, so
Okay.
in this day and age, I don't know if it would really fly so much if they tried to do a reboot of it. It's probably not quite PC enough, but whatever.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, and going back to the original topic we were talking about, high school, the high school trope in animes. The very first anime of any kind that I ever watched was actually a movie called Urushi Yatsura 2: Beautiful Dreamer. So I mean, it's the second movie in the series. Had not seen any of the original series at all. Hadn't read any of the manga at that time. Wasn't even aware that anime or manga was a thing. But the whole thing centers around the adventures or misadventures of a group of high school kids. And that's
Is that the
literally,
one with the girl with the horns?
yeah, Lum. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Who
I
like
remember. I remember you showing me that one, and
yep.
then by the end of it, I was going, "What the?"
Well, yeah, because I mean, like that was being my first experience in anime. Like I was just enthralled because like the animation was so different than any of the Saturday morning cartoons I had watched or anything on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
Yeah,
Just
because they were actually people and not animals.
right, and just everything that they did, I'm like, wow, this everything was just so unique about it, and and new to me. And I went back and watched it, oh maybe a couple months ago, and my wife had never seen it, and I'm like, this is the first anime I ever watched. You have to watch it. And for her, like normally if she's watching a movie, she's also doing something else. She's playing on her phone. She's working on some digital art that she does or whatever have you. She sat there just dead eye focused on this the whole time, and she had like at the end of it, she's like, I love that. That was amazing. And I mean, she's watched anime. I mean, she's a huge Sailor Moon fan for crying out loud. But I mean, she's watched all kinds of anime as well. but she sat there and just was enthralled with it. It holds such a special place to me, not only being the first anime that I ever saw, but even going back and watching it, now, almost 2 decades later, I still absolutely loved it. Just everything about it. And it kind of ties back into our whole conversation about tropes. Half the stuff I had no idea what was going on with it. And now going back and rewatching it, I was like, oh, I get what they're talking about here. I get that cultural reference. I get what this poorly translated into English joke is supposed to mean. Which is another trope from anime is word puns.
Yep.
Which, I mean, like, if you watch subtitled stuff, it sometimes kind of translates well, word puns. In dubbed, it rarely ever translates well because like word puns are a big thing in Japan. A lot of the times it's two words that sound the same in Japanese or that rhyme, or a word that can have two different meanings, so it makes it a very tongue-in-cheek kind of joke, a very witty joke. But when you translate that into another language, well, that one word may not have the same two meanings in the U.S., or the words may not rhyme, or whatever have you. So it's one of those things that a lot of times is lost in translation. So instead, we just get a bad joke, a pun or whatever have you.
Well, I mean, if I want to look back to like one of the very first anime that I can think about that kind of took a very big lip translation
Mm-hmm.
is Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes.
The Pokemon anime, because it was being brought to the states as one of the very few original anime
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, Pokemon the game has been around for 25 years, and the
Oh yeah.
anime came not shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So imagine 25 years ago you're bringing over something that culturally is completely different than what kids are growing up for. So the thing that I'm centering in on is the concept of the onigiri, which is the Japanese rice ball,
Yep.
which is just a rice ball that's wrapped in nori or seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very traditional thing you eat in Japan. I mean, it's just a common thing. They're
Yeah.
delicious, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yes.
but in the English dub of Pokemon,
I know what you're going to
they
talk about.
refer to them as donuts.
And you can clearly see it is not a donut.
And I remember as a kid being confused as hell,
Yeah.
going, "The heck kind of donut is that? I don't. Is it cream jelly filled?
I've
What
never had a
what
donut like
is
that.
this?"
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. And
Yeah, so I mean, there's some things that don't translate well. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
culturally nowadays, I think they're taking less liberties as anime is more mainstream in the states. I mean,
Yep.
we even have American-made anime. If you look at something like Avatar: The Last Airbender and its
Oh yeah.
sequel, The Legend of Korra,
Oh, it's
that is
fantastic.
yes, that is a essentially American anime.
I mean,
And
yeah, I think that'd be an apt description of it. Yep.
right. So that I mean that in and of itself I think would qualify as American anime. It's American made, very much, understanding it came from America, but it utilizes animation tropes, styles,
Mm-hmm.
different things from Japanese anime, the big-eyed shock moments, some of the character actions, those kind of things. And
Well, I
if I
mean,
want to look at another one, I look at DreamWorks Voltron series,
oh
which
yeah.
was released on Netflix several years ago, which, by the way, is one of the best animated series that is out there. I highly recommend this series. It is amazing.
See, now
Even if you
I
didn't
only
give a
just
shit
started
about
watching it.
Voltron as a kid,
I did.
this series is tops.
Now going off of this, would you consider Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans, when you consider that an American anime? Because that follows a lot of the same rules that you said Avatar follows.
I would consider that an American-made anime.
Okay, I agree. I
I
agree.
mean, it was likely also animated in Korea, but
Well, you know,
again, they follow the same tropes. They do some of the kind of weird, goofy stuff, and if I remember correctly, in later seasons, they actually like had a Japanese theme song. Um,
well, I mean, it's the same group did the English vocal one as did the Japanese one. Oh gosh, Puffy Amiyumi.
Puffy, yeah,
Yep,
I Puffy Amiyumi.
yep. Who ended up getting their own show briefly.
Yes.
They
No,
big.
they did the English theme song, and they also did a Japanese version of the theme song.
Yep.
And I think I remember reading somewhere that when it was the Japanese theme, it was kind of a one-shot, one-off episode that didn't really tie into like overarching story plot points.
Okay.
And when it was the English theme, at least in the later seasons, it was an episode that tied into like an overarching like season-based story.
Huh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, I think I read that. I don't, don't quote me on that. You're welcome to Google it yourself.
That's interesting if true, though. I mean, because it'd be a nice way to, from a viewer standpoint, as the episode is starting and you're hearing that theme, to know, oh, well, okay, well, this, if it has the English one, it's going to do with, the main story, the main plot that I'm hooked on. If you hear the Japanese one, it's a filler episode, effectively.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's a lot of different, you know, American-made anime, and I think it goes to show you the popularity of anime in America.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
not just enjoyed by weebs. These people that enjoy things like Avatar, that
Hmm.
enjoyed Teen Titans, the original, not Teen Titans Go. That's a travesty. Uh,
Look, my kids love it. I'll say that. Like, it's having been forced to watch it because my kids like it. It is not the original Teen Titans. I'm sorry, but it's not unenjoyable, if that makes any sense. It's
it's a
I won't go out of my way to watch it, but if it's on, I'll watch it with the kids. You know?
it's a very I would call it's a very self-aware meta show. Like they
Yes,
know. I mean, I think they even had an episode about the old Teen Titans show and how crappy the new one is.
they've had a
Uh,
couple episodes like that.
right. So it's very tongue in cheek, very
Oh
meta
yeah,
type thing, which that's enjoyable. It's just it's not my humor. Like the show anymore basically just tries to meme itself,
yeah. I mean,
and
yeah,
it's just gotten beyond like my style of humor. It's for the kind of the same reason why SpongeBob was kind of funny back in the early 2000s when it came out. Nowadays it's just kind of like, all right,
it's
this show's
there.
really really still going.
Yeah,
All right.
it's there. It's a thing that exists.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of different cultural things or tropes that we as Westerners don't understand in anime. The concept of trains and the bullet train, the Shinkansen. We don't. I mean, we had trains in America. We don't really use them anymore because they're expensive and they take forever. We're just gonna fly.
Right.
Uh,
Or or if
but
you're
in a
or if you're me, just drive.
right, but in a country like Japan, which is much smaller, it makes trains make a lot of sense. Just
Right.
like they have everyone can. If you're an anime watcher, I'll guarantee you that you can think of that one anime where you see characters walking next to a river that's got these slanted stone uh, sides, or it's like a canal, or walking across a river or something like that. You probably never took stock of it before, but I'll guarantee you watch an anime set after 1850s and you'll see these things.
Oh yeah, I can think of
And
several.
right, and again, having been to Japan, that's just a thing over there. Like they're not. It's not even really a trope. Like it's just a that's a location thing. Those things are everywhere.
It'd be like
Just like a
if there was a
just like a
car
bathhouse,
right, if there was a cartoon set in Iowa, you would see, corn.
right? Or nothing,
or is it
because
or is it
that's what's in Iowa.
or is it potato? No, Idaho's potatoes.
Yes, yes. Idaho's potatoes.
But yeah,
So
and going off of something that you said, yeah, a little bit ago about, all these new Americanized shows, kind of taking cues from anime, shows the popularity of it. I remember, growing up when I first started watching anime, I would have to go into Sam Goody, if any of you remember that. And like they had a minuscule, anime section. It had maybe 10 different, videos or DVDs or whatever have you at the time. And like, but
Sam Goody.
yeah, but they
That's
had a catalog. Like, okay, if there's a specific thing you're looking for, we can order it. And even before that, I remember getting I don't remember the name of the catalog, but I know the company is long gone by this point. But they would import uh you could buy VHSs, and mainly it was from companies that were importing this stuff, but it was on like a per order basis.
right.
But like, if you wanted to get a movie, you could put an order in for that movie. well, that company is not going to just, you know, do one copy of the movie. They're going to wait until they have 100 orders of it to even merit the cost of shipping it out at that point. So you may order a movie. There was one I ordered. I don't even remember what it was at this point. It was a VHS tape, but I
Was
ordered
it
it.
Bubblegum Crisis?
It might have been actually. It might have been
I
Bubblegum
the
Crisis.
only reason I say that is because I remember watching that with you at
Yeah,
your
it,
house.
it may have been Bubblegum Crisis, but I ordered that, and then like I forgot about it. And then like 8 months later, it was just shy of a year. I get a package in the mail. I'm like, well, what the heck is it? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. But so
Yeah.
I mean, but now I mean, you can walk into Walmart and they have an anime section. You can walk,
Right. I mean, they've got they'll have like the mainstream stuff like
yeah,
Bleach
yep,
and Dragon Ball Super, the stuff that's out on Toonami nowadays.
yep.
You know, shameless plug, Toonami Saturday nights. I think it starts at 9 p.m. If you're a weeb and like anime, go watch.
Oh yeah, yes, yes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it just shows that you used to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to watch something new, but now it's you can walk into just about any store that sells movies and get it. Well, I mean, well, heck, I'm sure you remember when because I think it was you and our friend Kevin were over at the house when Sci-Fi Network did their 48 hours of anime special. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember
We,
that. I
we,
think
we,
we stayed up for the full 48 hours
I,
too.
I think we did, and I think that's when Kevin told me to mix Kool-Aid powder into my ice cream, and that it would be amazing. And then I spilled it all over myself, and almost wanted to vomit.
Well, I mean, that was Kevin.
Yeah.
That is that I shouldn't say was, that is Kevin. He's
Yep.
he's hasn't changed in 20 years.
Exactly. But no, I mean, like that, a 48 hours straight of anime, that was unheard of at the time. And now we've got streaming services that have tens of thousands of hours of consumable anime media right there, literally at your fingertips. You can get the apps on your phone and watch it on the go. But for us back in the day, a 48-hour anime special, that was an event. I literally had my friends over, both of them. I had both my friends over, and that's what we did. We just watched anime for 48 hours, and it was amazing.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. So I mean, that was a lot of fun
Oh yeah.
back then, and that was our only mechanism of consumption, is because we didn't have anything else other than like the Saturday night anime block on Cartoon Network.
Yep.
Or I guess they did run Toonami right after school let out for anyone that was lucky enough to have like cable or satellite.
Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't. So, I was always a little bit behind on some of the anime stuff when I
Well,
was growing up, and I still kind of enjoyed it. But
oh yeah.
I mean, I always think about our major consumption of anime, besides these 48-hour blocks, was when we could go to conventions.
Oh man,
and
that I remember when
and
that
that
was a thing.
there's the booths there of these guys that have like just
Totally legitimate 3 disc copies of full series.
correct. The label is kind of slightly off printed on the CD, and you kind of go,
Yep.
huh, that's a little weird. The colors are a little washed out on this. The
But it's $20.
Right, exactly. It's $20 for a full series.
Oh
Crap,
man, yeah.
nowadays you can't even pay $20 for a quarter of a series these days.
Yeah, seriously. But no, like
But
I,
yeah, I
I
mean,
still
we
have a bunch of I think I gifted one that I bought, and I don't remember what series it was, but yeah, I still have all of those $20 full series animes that we bought back in the day at those conventions.
I mean, don't feel too bad. I still have them as well. I mean, I don't have them in the sense that they are they're in my DVD cabinet
Yep.
down in my living room. Uh I'm I don't know, I'm kind of a media file. I hardly get rid of anything when it comes to like when it comes to like DVD and disc based
Oh yeah.
media. So I've still got all of those series. I can think of them. I've got like Rurouni Kenshin, Witch Hunter Robin,
Evangelion.
Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, you know, all of the old classic series. I've
Oh
got
yeah.
them. I've got them all down there.
Yep.
I'm afraid to watch them right now just because of how bad the quality would probably be.
Right.
But
Well, I mean, heck, you remember I had that Trigun set that I bought that disc 3, I think it is. Like I don't remember. It's an episode near the end, and it's like a crucial point in the story. And the DVD plays like the first 30 seconds of it, and then just stops. Doesn't error out, just stops, and then plays the closing credits. And like, there's no scratch on the disc. There's nothing wrong with it. Like if you know, if I remember, I put it into my computer and actually tried to extract that video file to see if I could just watch that separate, and the file's all there as far as I can read. Couldn't watch it, but it plays 30 seconds and then plays the end credits. So I had to actually look up in the early days of the internet, all right, what happens here, because I needed to know what this important part of the story was.
Yeah,
Which I
no,
mean, again, they're these, totally legitimate. You guys can't see me air quoting with my fingers. Full series copies of anime. So I mean, you're gonna run into stuff like that back in the day.
oh yeah. I mean, I've got a Studio Ghibli box set that
Oh
I
man,
bought for like $20. And if anybody knows Studio
holy
Ghibli
crap!
movies, one Studio Ghibli movie will cost you like $25. So getting
Yeah,
the entire discography from 15 years ago for $20, that's
even 15 years ago, that's incredible.
right. It was purchased from a place that we typically bought anime from online. Um, the guy's sourcing of the anime may be suspect, but I got this. I paid somebody for it, so I guess it's not stealing.
I was gonna say
Um,
you purchased it from something.
Correct. I purchased it from a legitimate business. Now, how the business got it may be illegitimate, but point being, um, I had
We do
a
not condone
dozen.
piracy, just for the record.
Correct. If I purchased it and I had, I think, maybe 10, 12 movies on
Oh
there,
wow,
except for Laputa, Castle in the Sky.
really?
Um, I had it on there, but it didn't play. It basically did the same thing that you did. It would play like the first 5 minutes of the movie
Yeah.
and then crap out and go back to like the movie selection screen.
Huh.
And there was no way that I could get past it. And Laputa was one of my favorite movies, so I was just like, oh crap.
Ah. Of course,
Yeah.
the one that you really wanted to see on there.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, Spirited Away is amazing, but
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
But
and like even some of their newer stuff too is like the fact that they've been able to maintain their quality of films for as long as they have is just incredible to me. You know.
well, I think part of that is because Hayao Miyazaki, the creator of Studio Ghibli,
Hmm.
is uh is a notorious perfectionist
Oh yeah.
and kind of a micromanager type.
Well, it just shows he's passionate too.
Right. I mean, he has come out of retirement, I think, 6 times to help,
I think so.
make shows and make movies and whatnot. And I believe he's making one more right now.
Okay.
That, if I remember correctly, he is dedicating to his grandkids because I think he's saying this. I think he's saying this will be my last one,
Oh wow.
and I want to give them one final thing to remember Grandpa by.
Oh, that's kind of touching actually. Now is he naming any kind of like successor or anything like that, like towards future projects, or is this the absolute end of Studio Ghibli?
No, the studio will continue on. I think
Okay.
his son does a lot of stuff
Hmm.
with the I think I want to say his name is like Goro or something like that.
Okay.
Goro Miyazaki, but don't quote me on that. I could probably look it up. But yeah, his son does animation and anime for the studio, and they're continuing on. And I want to say actually that maybe this year or next year they're releasing their first digital, and when I say digital, I mean 3D animated movie.
Really?
Like,
That's a
yeah,
big departure for them actually.
it is. It is
Yeah.
absolutely a big departure for them because they are very much a traditional hand drawn studio, and
Yeah, very much
that's
so.
how Studio Ghibli is.
Yeah.
Um, but we have created a non sequitur on a non sequitur on a non sequitur on a tangent on a parallel at this
Non
point, and we've
sequiturception.
completely diverged from the original topic, which was anime tropes.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the thing we were talking about.
Right. So, we've covered a lot of different things, the hot springs, beaches, word puns, high
Yep.
schools, canals, and, different locales,
Cat
powering up.
girls. I just wanted to say
Oh,
cat girls. Oh, sorry.
I mean that is
that is
again
that's a
also
trope.
another thing in anime is the anthropomorphic animal people thing. I mean, there's literally entire anime about it. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? Seton Academy or something like that. It's a human in a animal
Oh,
world. There's also yeah, I can't remember.
we're
It's
both
on
drawing blanks now.
right. Well, then there's also the one on Netflix right now, Brand New Animal by Studio Trigger, which is one of my favorite kind of tongue-in-cheek type studios.
Oh
Very over the
yeah.
top. Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann, those
Oh,
types of
Gurren
shows.
Lagann. That is such a great series.
It is. One of my best
Oh,
friends absolutely detests it. He hates pretty much
what?
everything that Studio Trigger has done. Just
Oh,
the humor does not. The humor is not his bag, which
well,
I get
I remember your absolute favorite anime. It's totally colorful, right?
it. I mean, it's colorful, all right. I
If
remember that one.
for,
I thought about bringing it up earlier and decided I'd probably live longer if I didn't.
I mean, like, how do you even describe what colorful is other than an LSD induced fever dream? I mean, if any of you have seen like on YouTube any of the gifs with sound type videos where it's like 3 seconds of a really funny thing and then it cuts to something else, imagine that made into an anime.
It's basically
That's it.
Vine. It's basically Vine if
Yes.
it was an anime.
Okay. Yes. There you go. It
Or
is.
I guess for you newer generation folks, TikTok if it was an anime.
Yeah. Like I don't even remember
Yeah.
why I picked that up. It was probably on sale or something, but I remember that was one I got from Sam Goody and watched it and went, "The hell is this? I gotta show Ian. Ian, what the hell is this?"
And it was at that point that I promptly went and rethought my life choices. Uh, I mean that one, and well, you remember Dead Leaves, don't you?
Oh, dude. Okay, Dead Leaves was good. All right, Dead Leaves was good.
Dead Leaves was definitely one of those
Fever Dream
like
animes.
weird, yeah, fever dream weird animes that was just like over the top, and
Yes.
it was just like, what am I watching?
Was that who was the animation studio on that one? Was it Madhouse? Was it
No, it was Production IG. I actually just
Production
looked it
IG?
up
Yeah.
so that I could, because I was curious because the animation style is actually very reminiscent of Studio Trigger.
Yeah.
So, which is why I'm just kind of like, okay. But that said, I'm Wikipediaing things right now, and
Yeah.
this all makes sense. It was directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi,
All right.
who co-founded Studio Trigger and is the director on Dead
Oh.
Leaves, Cutie Honey, Gurren Lagann,
Oh, Cutie
Panty
Honey.
and Stocking, Kill la Kill, and other shows.
Like,
Apparently, he also was a key animator on the 1995 release of Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you want to talk about a complete and total mind,
oh god. Like, okay, my wife had never seen Ava, and like you and I have both seen the original English dub of it.
right.
You own it, which that's a rarity to own that, by the way. You cannot find that anywhere because of all the different like licensing rights that have gotten transferred all over the place. So hold on to that. But anyway, she had never seen it before. Recently, I say recently, last year came to Netflix. So I'm like, okay, we'll re up, we'll get Netflix again, just because I want you to watch this. And like she binged it, and I told her not to. I'm like, don't binge it. Take it in bites. She binged it. What that was really good. I'm like, wait, did we watch the same thing, right? And she came out of it, yeah, it was a good anime. I'm glad I watched that. Like, now hang on, wait, we're talking about the same Ava that's all has all these undertones of Oedipus and teen depression, right? And she goes, I mean, it had a little bit of that. So I went and watched the Netflix one and went, wait, this isn't the Ava I remember. It's the animation's the same, but this is not the Ava I remember because
Correct. For
they
those of you
completely
who don't
redubbed it.
know, yeah, Netflix redubbed the series,
Yeah.
so if you can see the original 1995 release, it's vastly different. Plus, you probably
Yes.
need to watch the two movies
Yeah.
that came out afterwards, which kind of ties the series together,
Yeah.
but also makes you realize that Shinji is a creep. Um,
Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit.
Right. I am so messed up. Um,
I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
yes. So anyway, yeah, I mean, there. So we've kind of gone off into a bunch of different tangents. I
Oh
don't even
yeah.
remember what we were just talking about,
Like
but
we tried to bring it full circle, and bring it back, and then it just nope, it didn't happen.
right. But here's actually something that Wikipedia is telling me. So
Oh.
apparently there is going to be a cyberpunk-based anime called Cyberpunk Edge Runners released in
Oh.
2022, which is being directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi.
Oh,
So
dude,
it is.
if it's gonna be the same art style, some of the other stuff he's worked on, I am 100% down for that.
Yeah, I'm
Ooh.
kind of interested to see, although I don't have a lot of information because when I click on the Wikipedia link, it just takes me to the Cyberpunk Wikipedia article, like the Cyberpunk 2077
Oh,
Wikipedia
so
article.
just like the
So,
game, it doesn't work right.
ah, wah, wah,
Oh.
wah. Yes, yes. So,
Which I mean,
anyway,
completely honest, I've spent all day playing Cyberpunk, so
yeah, yeah. I think I've mentioned this before, and if I haven't, then I'll just say it anyway. I'm interested in Cyberpunk, but I'm not interested enough to buy it until they release, like, the next 4 quality of life improvements, which means I probably won't touch it until sometime at the end of summer.
yeah, probably. But
Yeah. Anyway.
man, yeah, man, now you've got me thinking of, like a lot of the older anime that I grew up with that I haven't seen in years. That like I can still like vividly recall the first time I watched a lot of them. Like I know that there's a series of it now, Grappler Baki, but
Mhm.
I remember the original movie of it that I think that was on that 48-hour block that yeah you were over watching it, and
Yeah.
it was so just like visceral and bloody and gory, which again, not what we saw in our Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, by that point we were mid-teens, I think, when we saw that. But again, it was just so different.
Well, I
That's one that
mean,
always comes to mind when I think about that 48-hour block.
I mean, look at the anime that we had. That Akira.
Oh God, yeah. Like that.
Akira is a masterpiece and probably one of the
Absolutely.
quintessential animes of forever. I mean, it came out in
Yeah.
1988 and it still holds up to this day
Well, I mean,
as one of the
they just
best.
late last year put out a 4K the 4K Blu-ray of it, and like
Right.
it was selling out, which just is a testament to how impactful that particular film is.
Right. I mean, it spawned things like Ghost in the Shell. I mean, the
Oh God,
original Ghost in the
yes.
Shell movie,
Yep.
which was amazing.
Oh
And
yes.
then, do you remember Metropolis?
Dude. Okay, I remember crying at the end of Metropolis.
Oh my God, Metropolis is
Oh,
such an amazing.
such a beautiful film is the best way to put it. I mean, it's incredibly emotional.
Yes, I
Oh
would 100%
God, I want to
concur with
watch that
that.
again now.
Yeah, no, Metropolis is an amazing, amazing series, and we're kind of getting on yet another non sequitur, but at the same time, not. We're talking about all these anime directors that we've kind of grown up with. Nowadays, I think of Makoto Shinkai, who directed Your Name. If you've not seen the movie Your Name, it is a masterpiece that by the when I finished watching it, I went, I want to watch that again, which is not something that I always do. But I mean, he's done amazing movies such as Voices of a Distant Star, 5 centimeters per second, Children Who Lost Their Voices, Weathering with You,
Mhm.
which is a newer series, which I believe may be out on Netflix.
Okay.
Not 100% sure on that, but point being is he's kind of been praised as like the new Miyazaki. Like
Really?
he's a very cerebral and very thought out. His he doesn't do a lot, but the stuff that he does is extremely poignant.
Mhm.
And it's funny actually. I'm on his Wikipedia page, and he credits his favorite films being Laputa, Castle in the Sky, Nausicaa, and the Castle of Cagliostro, which is a Lupin the Third
Yep.
anime movie, but it was done by Hayao Miyazaki, which is again Studio Ghibli,
Yep.
and also a big fan of End of Evangelion by
Really?
Hideki Anno. So I don't know. I guess everybody's got their own little bit of crazy.
Right? Yeah, yeah. End of Ava. That's crazy is a good way to put it.
Yeah, sure. I am so messed up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of going on my own little non sequitur here. Speaking of Ava, I recently watched. I know this is an anime, but I recently watched Shin Godzilla, which was done by the director of Ava, and you definitely get that kind of feel from it. And
Mm.
even I don't remember what the title of the song is, but there's a song that typically plays in Ava. When an angel first shows up and they're getting ready to launch the Avas, that dun 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 that plays in the background.
Oh
They
yeah.
actually they actually use that in Shin Godzilla, and every
I
time.
thought you were going to say "Cruel Angel's Thesis." I'm
Oh
like,
no,
that the theme
no,
song
not
is
not
that
not
doesn't necessarily make sense.
not the theme song, but like every time that would play in Shin Godzilla, I'm just hearing Shinji whining about something whenever that would play.
Well, I mean,
Which
it's better than. I mean, that's one of the more recognizable things of anime from yesteryear. Kind of like the that sound from Gundam when they would engage. That
yes, yes, yep,
everybody know. I mean, anybody that grew up with Gundam. Which, by the way, the original Gundam series is aired in its entirety, uncut on Funimation. If you have a Funimation subscription, I suggest you check it out.
yes, absolutely. It is. It's. I mean, it still holds up.
Yes, yes, it does. So, yeah, we've covered quite a lot today on anime
Oh yeah,
and kind of gotten into a bunch of different non sequiturs and tangents. Bringing it mildly back home at this point.
circle the
So,
wagons, boys.
right, circling the wagons at the very end. It's probably, I don't know, maybe our own trope at this point of going over our time. I think that's probably going to do it for us today, folks. We thank you for
I mean,
joining.
we could do another 3 hour special, just talking about anime we've watched.
Yes,
Maybe
yes, we
maybe,
could
maybe we'll
because
do that in the future.
maybe because we have seen a lot
Yeah,
of anime, but especially between the two of us.
yeah.
In which case, maybe we get Kevin on here. I don't
Oh
know.
God.
We might have to tempt him out of his dungeon with like I don't know a hot dog on a stick or something.
I didn't. Kevin doesn't like hot dogs, does he?
I don't remember. I just know that he likes food.
Well, I mean, oddly for somebody that loves food as much as he does, he's incredibly picky about the food he eats. So,
Well, yes.
but anyway. So yeah, maybe. So, but all right, folks. Yeah, like Ian was saying, that's we've gone on for a while. We could keep going on, but we'll spare your ears and brains for now. So
Yep.
we'll go ahead and we'll sign off for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us like always, and we will catch you soon.
Yes, we appreciate your time. Again, shameless plug. Check out our website. Check out our podcasts on various different platforms. I think we're on 6 platforms at this point. You can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Pocket Casts, I think maybe even Apple Podcasts.
Uh,
We're out there all over the place.
coming soon.
So,
Apple Podcast coming soon as of right now.
all right, then.
There we
There you
go.
go, folks. Apple Podcast coming soon. You may actually be listening to previous episodes on Apple Podcasts, in which case, then thank you for listening. We appreciate you all. Signing off for tonight, I'm Ian,
And I'm Tim.
and have a good night.
Night, everybody.